Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah. Running with country bands, country bands. Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah. Running with country bands, country bands. Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah. Running with country bands, country bands.
Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Bitcoin Chris checking in yet again. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Bitcoin is pumping, Bitcoin is pumping, Bitcoin is pumping. If you watched the stream yesterday, I told you guys to look out for 62,000. And just like I predicted, just as predicted, we're at 62,900, about to hit 63,000. So shout out to Bibs, shout out to Market Cypher, shout out to, you know, making some moolah. Happy Friday, guys. We do have a special guest coming on later. His name is Alex, and he's a football player, and so, or international football player, soccer player here in the United States. Excited to chat with him. But, first we're going to jump into the Bitcoin price. The Bitcoin price. Also, we're going to jump into iRobot, because even before the announcement, we've I've been talking about this as well. Demolition Man went over. I had a video a while ago where I went over Demolition Man and how they had predictions about a couple things. Not only that, iRobot, they told us about these same exact robots. They look exactly the same. I just shared a post about that as well. So it's just crazy and funny and surreal to see all these things happen. You know, it takes years, right, for them to build all these things or slowly roll these things out. Because again, like I said yesterday, the reason why we don't have flying cars is because people are idiots, right? So people be drinking and driving and they'd be crashing that. So imagine if they had flying cars, right? So, anyways, with that being said, head over to swanbitcoin.com/Bitcoin Chris. Hit that like, share, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, head over to YouTube and hit that like, share, subscribe for me, please. Or if you're watching on X, aka Twitter, I don't like calling it X. Just hit that like button for me. But let's go ahead and jump into the Bitcoin price because we are still pumping. So let's get over there. Let's get over there. Remember I drew this yesterday? Boop, boop. Look at that. Fibs from yesterday. I said, hey, if I was gonna make a trade, I would look for the $62,000 level, and we actually hit that, and we're higher than that now. We're actually probably gonna hit 63, to be honest with you, and we are probably still got some more room up, which is crazy. This is the hourly time frame, so if we jump to the 4 hour, we're just getting started. Beat beat. Look at that. 8 o'clock p.m. yesterday. Boom, boom, boom. 4, 8, 12, 16. So the last 16 hours straight pump mode. So what I did yesterday, for you guys that are not familiar or did not watch yesterday's stream, even though it was kind of a long stream, in the beginning of the stream, you guys were able to pretty much, you know, get insight on the trade and why I was gonna, open up a trade and make some money. So here we are in 4 hour time frame. We're not even crossing up. Are we? Where are we actually? Okay, we're just now crossing the zero line for momentum. So I would expect. All right, so being that I do like to trade and make money, and that I do look at the markets, and that I do look at that pump crazy. It wasn't looking good for Bitcoin. I said we could possibly head lower. And then I went down to the lower time frames and I said, okay, well, let me pull the fib from the high to the low, or local high, local low. And I said, hey, 62,000 looks like the level. If I was going to do a trade, I think it was 3% or something like that, 3 or 4%. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was about 3%. And I said, if you do 30x leverage, or it was 2% or something. And I said, if you do 30x, that's 60%. So, you could have made 60% or more if you were to listen to the trade idea, if you do trade. And then I said, if we do come up here, I said, I expect us to possibly reject. I said, we could pop. When I did make the video, I said, if we reject and come down from the $60,000 level, we could head lower. But that didn't happen. So again, this is fire, 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 fire. We have very tight momentum shift here on Bitcoin. So looking at the 4 hour time frame real quick, again, we're looking super Gucci on the 4 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour. So if I were you, I would wait for a pullback. If you're going to try to jump into a trade now, this is not the time to jump into a trade. See, this is the problem with people, right? What they'll do is they'll watch the pump, right? You'll see a pump right now. Everybody will get excited, start to buy, and then this is where you get the correction, which I'm starting to see a little bit of a pullback here. Let's jump to the 30-minute chart. Look at that, boom, 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 and here it is. That the ultimate. Let's look on the hourly time frame real quick. So I've been showing you guys every time that we transition from red to green, or red to blue, or black to blue. Let me turn that to green. That's when Bitcoin pumps. Look at that. So if you could have went long from here, you would have been good. Thanks to Market Cipher. Shout out to Crypto Face. 30-minute time frame. It got you in here. So you could have got in here. So let's see what these came out to. If you got it on the 30-minute time frame, you would have been up 4%. If you got in here on the hourly time frame, 3%. So, hey, just as predicted in yesterday's live stream, if you watched, I gave you guys the play, gave you guys the update, gave you guys my idea and my ideas and what I thought was going to happen, and it played out perfectly. So right now, because there is another green dot on 30 minutes, I think we're still going to head up a little bit higher. So I would look for the 664. I would look for here. I would look for 64,000 target. Would I go long now? No, I'll probably wait for a pullback to come back down and retest the $61,000 level and then head up to 64. But because again, I see here momentum. Look at this, money flow green. I keep telling you guys, market cipher is popping. It's popping. It's not. I've been wrong. Before, of course. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that I'm the best trader or anything like that. But when I give my opinion, I stand on it, right? And I stand on it, and I know what I'm talking about. So shout out to anybody that listens. Shout out to everybody that took advantage of the opportunity. If you did not take advantage of the opportunity, it's okay. There'll be more opportunities coming in the future. So let's look at DXY, because DXY must be coming down for Bitcoin and a few of these assets to be pumping. And that's exactly what's going on. Boom. This morning at 8 o'clock, started to fluctuate, and then we started to head down. So on the hourly time frame, this could possibly be a Head and Shoulders. So let's draw that real quick. Where's the Head and Shoulder joints on here? So here. There it is. It's actually saved down here. There it is right there. All right, so we got the shoulder, you got your head, you got your shoulder, right shoulder. Which means, let me make this up a little bit more. Boom. Make this up a little bit. Boom. Which means this is the length. Let me make sure I got the whole thing in there, which I didn't. Um, Lines up with the previous support or resistance, which turns possibly into support. So I'm expecting us to come down, which is great for Bitcoin, great for assets. Let's look at the 4 hour real quick. 4 hour momentum starting to come down. Red dot appeared 3 o'clock on Thursday. So we started to head down, came up, and then starting to come down. So based on this information and looking at what's going on, and I haven't been on Twitter too much today, but last night I was on Twitter and everybody's all excited talking about the Tesla robots. I actually talked about this in yesterday's video as well, where I was talking about how you can make money with these vehicles and how I talked about this years ago. I talked about this literally 3 to 4 years ago. Time is flying by when you think about it, but Elon says this will be done in 2026, before 2026. I don't think it'll be done that soon as far as mass production goes. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think he'll have it up and running for robo taxis to be up and running fully by 2026. I don't think that'll happen. If it does happen, good for him. If not, like I said, I'm not surprised. I think the full self-driving, software will be available, and the semi trucks will be available. But as far as the self-driving cars that he, showcased yesterday, they will not be, in my opinion, they will not be available in 2026 or before 2026, as you mentioned. But I do want to go over real quick a few things before we continue. But shout out to Bitcoin. Look at that real quick. USDT, which is USD. Let's make sure we keep an eye on Bitcoin here. Pulling back a little bit. I took profits down here. I even though I could have, wrote it out a little bit more. Even 1% when you're doing 30x leverage is a lot. So that would have been 30 more percent if I would have held for like another percentage point. But you can't be greedy. Once you see that you're making money, that's some of our issues. Some of my issues is that when you get greedy, you get clapped up. So don't be greedy. You'll be able to make some money, guys. So I took profit already, but like I said, I'm expecting us to come down maybe 50% of this um, candle if we continue to move down lower. Like I said, come back down here to support, so around here, and then possibly head higher. We shall see. We shall see. All right, but what I wanted to show you guys was um, another live that I did a while ago was Demolition Man. Is that the right one? Yeah, Demolition Man. Because again, I tweeted this several times. Let me see if I can pull up my Twitter. Yeah, let me pull up my Twitter real quick. Hit that like for me if you're watching on Twitter. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button for me as well. Subscribe as well. I need to get these subscribers up. Help me get these subscribers up, guys. If I helped you make any money, if I brought any value, if you rock with me, just hit that like button for me, please. So 5 popping. All right, cool. All right, cool. So first, before we get to Demolition Man, let's just go over iRobot, because iRobot is another movie which came out way after Demolition Man. And if you guys have not seen these movies, I know these movies are old. I'm an '80s baby, '89, and I grew up in the '90s, so I was able. I'm sure some of you guys are too, right? But I was able. We saw these movies and we're just thinking, all right, yeah, just a movie, just sci-fi, just science fiction. No, it's not nothing. This ain't nothing. This is never. Hopefully one day this will happen, or this will never happen in my lifetime, or we want this to happen in our lifetime. Whatever side of the spectrum that you're on. Look at this guy. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. All right, Alex is in, guys. So what I'll do is wrap this up real quick. And the point is here, you guys can see that it's exactly the same. Robots are exactly the same. The car exactly the same. And even when Will Smith was attacked by the evil robots, they were driving in this thing, and this is exactly the same. It's actually kind of scary, and once you think about it, because it's like, yo. And then I watched that one movie with Will Smith as well, where he's like the only person left. There was a virus, and it's saying quarantine and all this crazy stuff. You know, they tell us in the movies, guys. They tell us in the movies. And just real quick with the Demolition Man. And just real quick with Demolition Man, they got FaceTime in the movie in 1993. They got the self-driving cars in 1993. So look at that. Look at that iPad. They had the iPads popping in 1993. They had self-driving cars. Doesn't it look like a Tesla? Oh, let's rewind that. Let's skip it. Doesn't that look like a Tesla right there? They tell you. What is it? Iron Legend? Yeah. The funny thing is that I've gone over this with you guys. I've gone over that on these lives before. I Am Legend is a virus that breaks out. Um, he's the only person there, and throughout the movie, there's quarantine. There's like all this stuff, and this came out in 2007. So you feel me? They're gonna tell you, when did iRobot come out? Leo, what you doing? 2004. Wow, that's crazy. All right. So, anyways, I digress. I just find it funny that a lot of things that I predict and that I've been talking about, or just that things that they tell us, and then I get my POV on it, and just crazy to see these things happen. But anyways, I digress. Let's get Alex in here. I want everybody to give us a warm welcome to Alex. Let me bring Alex in. Give me 1 second, guys.
Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah, yeah.
Yo yo,
Riding with country bass, country bass.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Am
All
I
right,
in
cool.
here?
No, you're not in yet. We're about to go on, but I want to.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
I don't know
stacking
how
them,
to
bet.
pronounce
yeah,
your last
yeah.
name, bro.
You're good. It's Crognale.
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 Riding
Yeah,
with
man.
country
I like it.
bass,
I like
country
it.
bass.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. We're gonna just chat a little bit about Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin was pumping, I
I'm
wanted to hop
stacking them,
on and
yeah, yeah.
because I go on and share my little TA and talk about Bitcoin. But
For sure.
With country
but
bass,
appreciate you coming on, and we'll just hop on real quick. I introduce you. I don't want to butcher your last name, so I'll have you say it.
Nah, you're
yeah,
good, bro. All
I'm
good.
stacking them,
We'll
yeah,
just roll
yeah.
with it. It's
All
all
right.
good.
All right. Cool. All right. So I'll bring you in now.
Riding with country bass, country.
Yo yo. All right, we got Alex in the house. Alex in the house. Thank you for joining me on this lovely Friday. This Bitcoin Friday. Thank you for tapping in, and I'm trying to see if I can get us equally set up. There we go.
Hey, there
Equal.
we are.
There
Yeah,
we
what's up,
are.
Chris? Thanks for
What's going
bringing me
on
on,
with your
man.
brother?
No, all good over here. I enjoyed listening to you talk about the iRobot Demolition Man. So I was born in '94, so I'd never heard of Demolition Man. But looking at seeing the robo taxi, the van for on wheels. Um,
Bro,
the
it's so
stuff that
crazy.
the stuff that Elon's working on is, people will hate and they'll say, we're not going to see that for the next decade. That might be true, but the fact that they were able to produce these prototypes and they were able to go and I own a Tesla, so I'm a little bit biased.
I'll rock
But
with Teslas.
full self driving is next level, and once they're able to roll it out for all these cars and get the robo taxi on the road, I'm telling you, man, it's coming faster than we think.
It's definitely coming. I don't know if you listen to Jeff Booth, but he's a
Yeah, yeah,
avid yeah Bitcoiner, and he says that the way, and I understand what he's saying. He says that with our technology now and with AI, it just quantum leaps. It leaps so much because of the technology that, like what you're just saying, it's going to be here faster than we know it, because the technology is just so much smarter and faster every year. Everything is outdated in a year. That's why we got these new iPhones every couple years, and then the old one is just so slow and clunky compared to the new ones, right?
yeah. It's pretty remarkable, and you know, Elon, they've been collecting data on people driving Teslas for the last decade now. So there are millions and millions of miles of people's habits on the road that they're now putting into these autopilot technologies. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So anyways, that's
Let's
just
talk
crazy.
Bitcoin.
We can talk about that in a little bit, but first and foremost, shout out to you, for posting about Bitcoin, because that's how I actually saw you. I saw Oliver share your post. I found you on Twitter. Thank God for Twitter, right? Because I've been able to connect with so many people all over the world, right, that are interested in Bitcoin, or other assets, and or just other things that I find interesting. So I saw your post and I was like, oh, here we go. This is your post is like the
The stereotypical Bitcoin journey, right? I don't know.
absolutely, bro. And that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, you put it in there as a savings account for us in America, at least, right? Because I'm in America. Are you here in the US?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in the
Okay.
U.S. Yes,
So for
sir.
us here in America, we're blessed enough to use it as a savings account. Countries in Africa, they use it because their dollar is going down, or their currency is going down so much, right? And they have so much corruption in their country that they have to use Bitcoin. So that's their lifeboat. But for us, we're blessed and we use it as a savings account. So I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us about your journey. Let us know a little bit about how you got into Bitcoin, and we'll talk. I'll explain to you a little bit about how I got into Bitcoin,
Yeah,
because I know we don't really know each other too much, but I'm glad to meet you. I'm glad to have you on the show, and I appreciate you taking time to come on here and chat with me.
absolutely. No, thank you, Chris. Well, yeah, I'm Alex Crognale. I'm a soccer player by trade. I've been playing pro soccer, played in the MLS for 3 years, and I'm in the USL now. It's my eighth season as a pro. So I've been, I grew up an athlete, and was blessed enough to make it to the professional ranks. But I've always been interested in um, off the field activities. Specifically investing, what to do with my money, business, and the post that Chris that you're talking about. It was I posted it a few weeks, maybe a month ago. It was my first ever Bitcoin purchase, and it was the 4 year anniversary. So it was September 10th, maybe, of 2020. I first bought Bitcoin, and man, the the
Hold on,
journey.
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. What? When was the first purchase?
It was September of 2020.
September 2020. I think that was well. I think that's great. That's right after everything started acting crazy with the whole you know virus.
Oh
So
yeah,
okay, so September 2020, you first purchased Bitcoin. Okay.
yeah. So September, and there's I can talk about how I got into Bitcoin, but that was the first purchase where I actually went and bought it. And then, of course, from then on, we went into the bull season. By Christmas of 2020, it was in the 40,000. So I had heard of Bitcoin in the years prior, but I didn't spend any time educating myself on what this technology was. I saw it go from 3 to 19, back down, crash again, and it was just a number on a screen. But it wasn't until COVID happened, March COVID hit in 2020, the lockdowns came, and then they approved the stimulus, where in that year 40% of the money supply had been created in that year. And that statistic to me just blew my mind, where the national debt and the circulating money supply just went parabolic because of during this time because of COVID. And then
Well, explain. We're gonna take it step by step because I'm
let's do it.
sure, because I know I have a ton of people that don't know anything about Bitcoin or are skeptical about Bitcoin, or they're just tuning in now because I'm on Facebook. I'm on, I'm streaming on YouTube as well. And so some people don't know what 40% of the money supply being printed. So if you could, in your own words, can you explain inflation and what that means for you to like the average person that doesn't understand what that means?
Yeah, sure. Well, you know, we all, everyone has money in their bank accounts, and then our banks have money, and then the government, they have money through these various vehicles. I don't know the plumbing too well, but various bonds and accounts and stuff. And when when people go to buy goods and services, they are priced based on the supply and demand, right? If the supply of something goes up and the demand stays the same, then it's going to get cheaper, right? Because there's more, you know, there's
More supply. Hmm.
there's more goods chasing the same, more goods, and it's the same number of dollars, so they're going to get cheaper. What happened during COVID is the United States printed a shit ton of dollars. They gave everyone dollars. So everyone had more money in their bank accounts. They felt wealthier. But what that meant is there was now more dollars in circulation going after the same number of goods. So they weren't producing any more cars. They weren't producing any more, toilet paper, tissue paper, whatever it is, you name it. And actually, because of the lockdowns, the supply chain was completely out of whack. So the supply of goods actually went down while the supply of money went through the roof. So everything got more expensive because there's a ton more money in circulation chasing the same or a less number of goods. So when that happens on a grand scale, we get inflation, where stock prices, because these companies are charging more money, bringing in more revenue, their stock prices are going up. So the owners of the investors, the stockholders, are getting wealthier. But then individuals, people who hold dollars, everything becomes more expensive. So the rich continue to get rich, but the rest of, if you didn't hold any assets during 2020 and through today, 2024, you've been completely obliterated. If your income has stayed the same, it's like you're making 75% of what you were making in 2020. So if you're making $100,000 in 2020 and you're making $100,000 in 2024, your salary might as well be $75,000 because that's what it's buying you. And this concept is, I think it's difficult for people to wrap their head around for a number of reasons. But I think one reason is, if I have $1,000 and I put it in my savings account, 5 years later, I still have $1,000 in my savings account. So people see that number and they're like, "Nah, that's my money. I still got it, right?" But the thing that they don't understand, and which makes inflation so brilliant for a government to steal from its citizens
Everybody. Hmm.
over time, because people don't notice it because they think I still have $1,000, but in reality, that $1,000 is only buying $900 worth of stuff or whatever it is. It's buying you less things every year. So when this compounds over time, you look at the value of the dollar, it's lost 99% of its value since 1913 when the Federal Reserve was created. So our parents were living in houses that, or whatever, our grandparents were living in houses that cost $20,000, and we can't even buy a car for that price now, right? And that's just the way the fiat world has developed, because you need to continue to expand the money supply to pay off all this debt to keep the train rolling.
That's right. We're a society. We're a debt based society. So I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. I think a lot of us, want it to end, but we're without the debt. There is no society, right? There's no economy here in the United States. We are a debt based society. So you're absolutely right. Michael Saylor says this. Max Kaiser has been explaining this for a long time. Um, Michael Saylor will say, if you hold, well, people that save their money in fiat currency, we call them poor. You are poor because you're getting poorer and poorer over time, and whether you realize it or not, that's the truth. So I've been on a mission to try to orange pill as much as many people as I can, but I feel like most people, like you said, are just, no, I have $1,000, it's worth $1,000, it's in my savings account. And I always I try to be a little bit offensive. I've cut back a lot. I've used to be a little bit more aggressive and more offensive to people, towards people, to try to get them to understand, like, hey, you know, there's a reason why you're struggling right now, and it's
Yeah,
because you're not taking time to read or understand what's going on. But they're in the rat race, so I kind of have a little bit of sympathy. But at the same time, if I'm able to do it and learn, if you're able to do it and learn, my son is 14. He was able to do it and learn during COVID when he was here with me. I was on Clubhouse every day for almost 3 years straight, and like orange pilling the masses, people all over the world coming into our Clubhouse spaces, and we're answering the same questions over and over again. But because we understand what's going on with the money, it's like, man, how does nobody see this? And then when you see it, you can't unsee it. So it's just like an ice cube. What Michael Saylor says: if you're holding money in fiat, it's slowly but surely losing its value over time. And that brings me to your post, because your post is absolutely the like you said, it's the ideal, and the like
it's the
the
reason
aha
why we're all
moment.
here. It's the reason why we're all here, right?
That's right.
Because we found a better way to store our wealth. And there's so much noise in this space. And I'm curious, I want to ask you. So, I speak to a lot of friends, family, people online about Bitcoin, try to educate them, explain about this opportunity that they have in their future. What do you think is the biggest barrier to people getting it? Because I know you're getting a lot of no's, or a lot of people who are saying it's a scam, it's, I'm too late, the number's too big, the CIA created it, whatever the whatever excuse you could call it, or
Yeah.
reason for someone to not buy Bitcoin. What are you seeing?
um it's funny you say that, because this is why I have this YouTube channel. This is why I was on, Clubhouse for years. Met so many great people, and I've told people, and I tell many people, and like you said, they'll be like, "Nah, I'd rather do stocks." And so when they say stocks, I was like, "Okay, well, I always try to break it down into a. I always lead it to the math, because I say, all right, well, hey, let's take stocks for an example. All right, so I see people say SSPY, right? QQQ. Some people say Costco. I got a tweet about this guy that was, bragging about Costco going up. I think it was like 5 or 10x in 10 years. I'm like, that's it. Those are peanuts compared to Bitcoin's ROI. So I always try to lead with the math, because it's like, all right, well, I I try to lead with math, and then I try to lead with their emotions. Logic first, and then emotion. So I'm like,
Mm,
okay, well, hey, S&P's only up 5% or 10% or 20% this year. Bitcoin's up 40% in the year. So I always say, all right, which one would you rather have? 10% ROI or 40% ROI? So $1,000, and then I break it down to, okay, if you put $1,000 in, you'll have 1,200. You put in that same amount of money in Bitcoin, 1,400. Which one would you rather have? So I break it down like that, and then I hit them with the emotional part of it, which we all
Mhm.
experience every day. Okay, hey, like you just said, our parents and our grandparents can buy a house for $20,000. You think it's because the house has gone up in value $300,000? That same house is $300,000 now. It's not because the same house is worth $300,000. It's because that's how much your dollar has gone down in value. So if you care about your family, if you care about your friends, if you care about your children, then you would want to buy the best performing asset because that's something that's going to preserve and increase your purchasing power over time. So I try to hit them with that. I try to hit them with the logic and emotional side, and usually that works a little bit. And then I always try to give away Bitcoin, and say, hey,
Mhm.
here's $10, here's $5.
Yeah,
Don't even touch it. Just let it sit there for a couple years and come back to it, and then hopefully you understand. And then I give them Andreas Antonopoulos videos. I send them Max Kaiser because that's who orange pilled me, and Stacy Herbert. And then I have this YouTube channel. I say, hey, go check out my videos on YouTube. So I try to educate them as much as I can. You can only lead a horse to the water. You can't make him
yeah,
drink. I've been telling people to fix their credit and use their personal credit to get business credit, which is what I did. So what Michael Saylor did, I did that before Michael Saylor. I used
he
personal
learned
credit.
it from you.
He learned it from me, bro. Yo, Michael Saylor, put me up. Yo, give me my credit, bro. You can go back on my Twitter, bro. I've been telling people for years, but I have over 100,000 tweets, so I'm pretty sure it gets. You're not going to see everything just going on my page right now, but you
For
can
sure.
search on my page. I said, hey, what you should do strategically, or what I did strategically, is, hey, I was looking at real estate back in 2020, and I was like, all right, well, hey, I understand Bitcoin. I got some Bitcoin. I got $100,000 in 0% interest credit cards. I know how to get the money off the cards and invest it however I want. That's what I teach people to do. So I was like, all right, it's either I buy cash flow real estate or I buy Bitcoin. Cash flow real estate or I buy Bitcoin. I was like, man, I don't know what to do. And Bitcoin was like 5 grand, 10 grand at the time, 3 grand. It dipped again. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just about to go all in on Bitcoin. And I told my brother, because me and my brother were partners, and I got him $100,000 in business credit, 0% interest, which means we got money from the banks because we have a business, we have an LLC, we're set up properly, we have good personal credit, and then we're able to take that money or take our personal credit, get business credit, get the money from the banks to invest in assets, like you just said. And I was like, all right, instead of us buying real estate, let's just buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin went from 5 grand to 10 grand to 20 grand to 50 grand to $69,000, bro. And I took that money and I made a lot of money with Bitcoin. So some people will say it's risky. Some people will say you're not supposed to use debt and leverage it that way. And those people are just uninformed people because without doing that, Michael Saylor's doing that. So why don't you say that to Michael Saylor? And you got those people that just don't understand how money works. So if you don't understand how money works and you're a 9 to 5er and you're a saver, then you're not gonna understand the methods and how money works. You're supposed to take the dying currency and buy the strongest currency. And with that play being made back in 2020, and I was telling majority of my people and anybody that follows me how to do it. I even started a mentorship program teaching people how to do it. I give people the sauce for free online. I have a Facebook, Twitter, IG. I was just telling everybody, fix your credit. I have a credit repair program. You can do it yourself. I have an ebook. I have a business where you can hire us to do it for you if you're busy or you don't want to do it yourself or you're getting frustrated of doing it yourself, and then we'll take you to go get business credit, and then you can invest in whatever it is that you want to invest in, but at least you have the capital. And I always say the same thing. Okay, if you're working a 9 to 5 job and you're making $30,000 a year, but if you fix your credit and let's just say it does take a year and you get $100,000, at the end of your working year you're not getting $30,000. You're getting less than that because you're getting taxed on your 30,000. And then how long is it going to take for you to actually save? Let's not even say 100,000. Let's just say 50,000. How long is it going to take you to save an additional 50,000 on your $30,000 salary? So people don't even think about things like that. Like, okay, if I just fix my credit, sit down, understand what's going on, I can get capital to buy Bitcoin or to buy real estate or to buy a business or start a business to cash flow and then buy Bitcoin. So I try to give people these different strategies and ideas so they can take the information and do what you want with it. But my example, what I did, I bought Bitcoin with my money, with the capital from the banks, using the banks. 0% interest is free money. Of course you got to pay it back,
Mhm.
but Bitcoin went up, what, 6x or 10 to 20, 10 to 60,000. If you just want to do that, that's 6x. Like you
Yes.
said, you got a 6x. We'll bring up your tweet in just a second. 6x. So if you put 100,000 into Bitcoin and you got 600,000 minus 100,000, because the money that you borrowed, you just made 500,000
Yeah.
using the bank's money. And people are like,
That's an impressive, but
no,
I
I don't
will
want to do it.
say most people should not be doing that. And I say that because today it's much more difficult to get credit that cheap. Most personal loans, if you're going to get them right now, are 6, 7, 8%. And leveraging up on interest rates that high is very risky. And unless you're able to service that debt from your job or from your own income, I would stay away. The
Yeah,
game has
you got
been
to be
truly though.
strategic, of course.
Yeah, you have to be smart about it. And hey, clearly it was the right move. I did the same thing with some real estate where I took out refinanced one of my properties, but taking the cheap debt from the bank, and whether it's buying real estate, buying Bitcoin, whatever it is better than that money sitting in your bank account. And
It's no brainer.
through through the last 4 years and all the education and research I've done, I would also be choosing Bitcoin in that situation. And I wouldn't be buying a rental property today because for a number of reasons. We don't have to get into that, but um, I would I would be focusing on Bitcoin. But I think for the majority of people, do your best to increase your income, increase your savings rate, and then save in Bitcoin. There's so many different avenues out there for VU and ETF and chill, right? Buy S&P 500 and just do that every month. Fine, you'll get your 10%. It'll be fine. Or there's 401k programs that you can give to. There's Ross that you can give to. All of that stuff is great, but make sure that you're buying Bitcoin, because if you're under 40 years old, the single biggest opportunity that our generation has to produce wealth is Bitcoin. Period.
Man, 401ks are scams. If you've followed me for any amount of time, or you guys go look down my Twitter or type in Chris Knight and you type in 401k, I explain why 401ks are scams. It's great. It was great for our parents. Like I said, a lot of things, a lot of these institutional and old ways of financial, what are those called? Financial tools or financial products. Those things, as far as the legacy market goes, those things are out of date. Taxes, fees, there's other opportunities that you can put your money in my opinion. I mean, based on numbers, right? I cashed out my 401k a long time ago. I think 2017 or 2018. I cashed out my 401k and bought Bitcoin. One of the best decisions I ever done. So I'm with you there. But anybody that says these things to me, oh, real estate, stocks, um, anything, if you're going to do it because of tax incentives for real estate, that makes sense, and cash flow, I would recommend you get an apartment building. That makes sense because you'll have a higher NOI, net operating income. That makes sense. Taxes advantages, you'll pay less in taxes, especially if you have a 9 to 5. You can do the cost segregation study. You can do your life insurance policy, IUL. Build up your cash value in that, borrow against that. You're borrowing against yourself. It's called life insurance, not death insurance. You can use it while you're alive. There's just so many things that I know. It's just like there's no reason for you to be doing and using and buying stocks. There's no reason for you to be buying these things when you can get a higher ROI with Bitcoin and just chilling. But again, like you said, it's not for everybody, and I'm not trying to reach everybody. I'm just trying to reach those that wanna. You got to take a risk in life.
Mhm.
Obviously, with the leveraging your credit, we're not using our personal credit. We're using business credit, which is no matter what, it's 0% interest. If you're going to use your personal credit, then yes, there are banks that give you 0%. But like you said, majority of those banks on the personal side, they're going to charge you 5, 10, 15%. But if Bitcoin is going to go up 100%, 100% minus 7%, pay back your 7%, including your original, loan, and then you're still in the profit. But it's not for everybody. And I'm not telling anybody to do that. I'm telling everybody what I did. And if I were just getting started, I would just look into a couple different, strategies like that.
So let's pull up the tweet.
Let's pull up the tweet.
Because then there's another tweet that I want you to find after this.
All right. We can still hear you. So we can hear. Let me see if I can do it this way. Will this work? Let me see about this one.
Whatever you want to do.
All right, that looks a little better. Zoom in. All right, so I want you to go ahead and read the tweet so everybody can see.
Yeah.
Everybody can hear you.
All right. I'll read it. I said I'm 30. My first Bitcoin purchase was 4 years ago today, September 26th. To be honest, I didn't know what I was buying. I never thought deeply about money, and for Bitcoin, I thought I was late to the game. I thought the real returns were behind us, but I realized I could not have been more wrong. We are still so early. I learned more about the world in the last 4 years than I did the first 26 years of my life. Why? Bitcoin challenges you to reconsider the status quo. Bitcoin touches math, economics, game theory, politics, engineering, energy. The list goes on and on. Owning Bitcoin is not easy, but it's certainly worth it. So the price when I bought in September 26, 2020, it was 10,768. And then the price of September 26th of this year, Bitcoin was 64,500. That's nearly 6x return. So 56% annualized. If this were to repeat, again, this is an if, this is not guaranteed, but if this were to repeat, then 4 years from now, Bitcoin is going to be $382,000. So I said, zoom out, saving in Bitcoin works. My biggest regret is not buying more. First year HODL completed. So this was, and then I just posted the Coinbase purchase that I did. So this was the first Bitcoin purchase that I made. In 2019, I was buying Litecoin. A teammate of mine said, "Oh, check, this Litecoin thing. I bought it. It was $30. Then it went to 400." And I'm like, well, and now it's 100. I'm like, well, that's cheaper than, Bitcoin, right?
Let me buy that instead. Yeah.
It's cheaper, right? Unit bias. Let me buy that. So I bought that, and then again, once COVID happened, and I started to realize what was going on with the money supply and really the way the Federal Reserve operates the U.S. economy, I learned that there was a better solution, and that was Bitcoin. Because it's finite, it's decentralized, it's global, it's not under the control of any CEO or politician, and it's the most secure computer network in the world. And just the nuance and the beauty of just such a simple technology, a public ledger. We've never had a public ledger that is immutable, where you cannot change it. There's always backdoors that, whether it's companies or the government or banks, create, where if you do something they don't like, they're going to take your money or they're going to shut down your account. With Bitcoin, doesn't matter who you are, where in the world you're from. If you have an internet connection, you can access the Bitcoin network. And once I figured out what Bitcoin was, and once I was really convinced, my conviction really just kind of took off from there. So that was the first purchase. And, of course, it's been a 4-year HODL since. We went from 10,000 to 69,000, back down to 16,000. And, here we are now. So holding Bitcoin is not easy. There will be times where you doubt yourself. The amount of conversations I have with really smart people around me in my circle who are wealthier than me, they're smarter than me. They have a business that they're running, it's doing well, or maybe they choose real estate and they stay away from Bitcoin. They all, have a perspective about how things work, and they don't think Bitcoin is a solution, which is fine. But they're wrong, right? So it's, as a Bitcoiner, you need to be okay with people looking at you like you're wrong for a while. Like I was buying Bitcoin when it was, probably most of the Bitcoin I bought was probably in the 30 to 45 to, for 40 to $50,000 range, let's say. So when it's at 16,000 and you bought at 45, people are going to say, "Wow, I'm so glad I didn't touch that thing. Look at all the money he's losing." But of course, I didn't sell a sat. I just waited and continued to DCA with, with my job and anytime that I could. And then if you're patient, Bitcoin rewards you. And it's funny, when I first bought it, in the back of my mind, it was a 5-year play. People are telling me I'm crazy for, really diving into this Bitcoin thing. But I'm going to give it 5 years. If after 5 years and what I expected to happen, if it doesn't happen, then okay, I'll reevaluate. We're 4 years in, and it's clearly been the right move.
What
And
what is sorry for interrupting. What
no,
did you expect Bitcoin to do? And what's your thought? Like, okay, 5 years, I hope to get 2x or 3x, or what was your thought process on buying the Bitcoin and looking to see, okay, hey, if I buy this, I'm like you said I'm gonna give it 5 years. So what was your outlook, and what
yeah.
were you expecting to
So I
get?
mean, everyone has their own opinion on how high the price can go, and everyone's looking at past cycles and the fractal, mapping past cycles to current cycles and the expected returns. And in 2021, everyone expected $100,000 Bitcoin, right? Everyone expected 100,000. We didn't hit 100,000, and then everyone said Bitcoin has never gone below the former cycle all-time high. The former cycle all-time high was almost 20,000. And then in 2022, FTX happened, everything blew up. We go to 16,000. So at that point, as a Bitcoiner, you're certainly questioning, okay, am I truly convinced that this is the technology of the future, and that people truly value this asset? Um, and I'm glad that I have spent the amount of time I have on Bitcoin Twitter and surrounding myself with the right accounts who are experienced, who not only understand Bitcoin, but they understand the legacy markets, because whether you like it or not, they are connected. And there's a reason that Bitcoin didn't go to 100,000 and went below 16,000. And many people think it's because of the paper Bitcoin. So in FTX, there was however many billion of Bitcoin that individuals thought that they owned. But what we didn't know is that FTX had already sold that Bitcoin, which is dampening the price, the true price, because they sold it and they were doing God knows what with that money, gambling it away. So then when they go down and everyone sees the cloak has been revealed, and you see how much fraud was going on, then obviously it has a more drastic downside reaction.
And
But look, this is Bitcoin. If you're buying Bitcoin today and expecting a return in a month, a year, 2 years, there are no guarantees. But when you buy and hold Bitcoin over the long term, it has proven to be the single best place to hold your wealth. And I was gonna so that was my first purchase, but then I became so convinced and bullish on Bitcoin. Can you find? Can you search
yeah,
paid in Bitcoin on my profile?
I
Let me see if
got you.
you can pull up the tweet.
I got you. I got you.
Officially paid in Bitcoin. Find that one. Yeah, officially paid in hashtag Bitcoin. That one with my laser eye. So so this tweet here, this was this is Bitcoin Magazine. First USL soccer player gets paid in Bitcoin. So in 2020, I came across a company, Bitwage, and they operate a Bitcoin payroll service. So what that means is you can, if you're a W-2 employee and you get direct deposit for your income, you can have your direct deposit. You can have a percentage of your direct deposit through the service Bitwage, and
Hmm.
then when they direct when they direct deposit it to Bitwage, they convert it to Bitcoin and it's sent to the Bitcoin wallet of your choice. So what I did is we had a partnership in 2021, and I started taking my salary in Bitcoin. I started getting paid in Bitcoin for my soccer salary. So I became I was the first American professional soccer player to get paid in Bitcoin. And
Wow.
so what that meant, and I did I did 15% is what I started doing in 2021, and then in 2022, I upped it to 25% of my paycheck. So I wish I was one of these multimillionaire basketball or football players who could afford to take more of their salary in it, but I'm not. So I saved as much as I could. And I think that's a good
Yeah.
lesson is like, it doesn't matter how much you're making, um,
Yeah.
but whatever you're able to save, if you can put it in Bitcoin consistently over time, you will be rewarded. Um, so I spent time with them getting paid in Bitcoin in 2021, 2022, and then 2023, my wife and I, we bought a house, this house that I'm sitting in. So I paused the service because another lesson is life is more important than just Bitcoin. So make sure you're not putting everything. You will be rewarded financially if you do that, but nothing takes away from having a house, being able to raise my new daughter, and spending time with my wife. So I don't regret that decision at all. But this was I guess this was my first real entrance into Bitcoin and Bitcoin Twitter. When this was announced, I had no idea what the reception would be for just a random soccer player who decided to get
Yeah.
paid Bitcoin. But um, the Bitcoiners really like this, and maybe I marked the top. I think Bitcoin was in the 40s when I did this. There's a, there was a tweet from Barstool, or a post. It might have been Instagram, Barstool, that they posted in 2022. I think the account was Old Rose Sports. I'll never forget it. And it was professional athletes, you know, who lost big on Bitcoin. That was the headline. And then it was, Saquon Barkley, Trevor Lawrence, Odell Beckham Jr., Russell Okung, Sean Culkin, and on there, Alex Crognale and another soccer players on there. And it shows, there's a chart where it shows the price of Bitcoin when each player announced like their salary that they took, and then
Yeah.
the percentage loss. And at that point, it was like negative 60 something percent. So this is like
Ah.
a big dunk,
Yeah.
Oh, these idiots, they went public about owning Bitcoin, right? Down 60%. But now it's like, look, 2024 is here. Who's laughing now, right? Because all of the people who announced did not get all of that money at one time at that price. And if they use the service like Bitwage, like I did, they were getting it every paycheck, DCAing,
DCA. That's right.
DCAing, and DCA is undefeated. People can and will generate higher returns by timing the market, by using history as a guide with past cycles. But for the majority of people out there, it doesn't matter when you're buying, just buy and buy often.
Buy and hold. You're right. DCA is definitely the ideal strategy. Even though one of my homies, British Hoddle, he'll say
Yeah.
otherwise. He'll
Yeah.
say otherwise and talk crazy about people that DCA, but DCA is the way to go. But
It's
for an example, I love to show the site. It's called DCA BTC, and I say, okay, well, I actually I share numbers all the time, or at least I used to. I don't do it too much now because it gets repetitive, right? Saying the same thing over and over and over again for years, it gets really annoying for me. But I'm sure other people are like, okay, Chris, enough, enough with the Bitcoin talk. But here I'll do that. Let's just do $100 a week for 5 years, starting 5 years ago. You know, 200% increase. But if you did it 6 years ago, starting 6 years ago, 300% increase. So, the longer that you hold, the better it is for you. So, $100 a week turned $30,000 because, some people, like you said, have savings account making 0% interest, actually losing money because of inflation. But instead, if you just would have bought $100 a week of Bitcoin for the past 6 years, because, people are doing that with their 401k, like you said earlier. This is why I say 401ks, not only is it a scam because of the fees and the taxes that you pay later on, when you are ready to take that money out and you have to be, of age to be able to take it out, instead of doing that, why don't you just put $100 in to Bitcoin a week, and then increase your wealth that way, right? And
Do a
30
DCA from. Sorry to interrupt. Do a DCA from the top in 2020, the 69K top. Can
69K.
you?
So what is that, 4 years?
So if you 4 years, yeah.
That would be, this is June, this is June 2019. So what, 3 years? Uh,
Where are you starting it?
this it has a
Start
start
it
point
on
of,
start it at the top, 69K top. If you were the unluckiest Bitcoin buyer of all time,
I don't even, when was the top? 2022,
it was 2021.
2021. So that's 3 years ago.
Let's see.
It was 69 and we're at 69 now. Or 69 we're at 69. 62
November. It
now.
was November of 21. November of 21.
November. Oh yeah, here November is about here. Well, if you just DCA'd, you're up regardless because you're buying
Right.
regardless of the price. But
That's the illustration I want to see. Even if you are the worst Bitcoin buyer and you buy at the cycle top
which is here,
and you just keep
November.
buying, buy all the way down. Wait, what the hell is that? Oh, Bitcoin value. Oh, okay. I was like, is that the price? No.
Now the
Okay.
value of the $100, every dot's a week.
So you buy at the top, it drops 80%. You keep buying. And then today, three
You're
years
still
later, you're
you're
still
still
up
up.
what, 100%. You've doubled your money. So that is the power of Bitcoin. It's not about when you buy, it's that you continue to buy. And what I think happens, and I'm certainly I think my story will be the same, is people, they pay attention to Bitcoin when it goes on one of its parabolic runs towards the end of a cycle. And that's when they start to pay attention and they
Pile
think, oh,
in.
I need to get in. So then they pile in towards the end of a cycle and they get crushed. So that the first cycle really isn't for making money unless you're right place, right time, or you have a Bitcoiner who's a good friend of yours, who tells you to buy right at the bottom, like I did with my mother. She bought it, in 2022 when I had no more cash to buy any more Bitcoin, and I'm just holding on. This is part of the game. I was like, Mom, I need you to look at this thing. Trust me, you'll be happy. A few years later, she's happy. But the key is, so the first cycle, if you buy on the run up, you're going to get crushed during the bear market, right? And at that point, you need to really do the homework to figure out, yeah, I love it, to figure out this Bitcoin thing. But then once you understand it, use the next cycle to make real returns, because based on history what theoretically should be the trajectory over the next 4-year cycle, and stay involved. You're going to get punched in the mouth a few times. I certainly have. If I could go back, I would do things differently, because I, bought too much in the 40s right before we went to 16, right? If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done that. I bought a couple miners in that same time period. Those have not performed well. I would have 10x that I would have 10x the returns that came from those miners if I would have just bought Bitcoin at that time. So everyone goes through these mistakes, but it really is a decade-long game. So if you stay in, continue to pay attention, continue to learn, you will benefit. And I see you have it pulled up right here. So while the government was printing all this money, and they gave each of us $1,200, which lasted a month, maybe a couple months, if you were lucky. If you would have just taken that thing and stuck it into Bitcoin, a finite asset, now it's really the scarcest asset we have, surpassing gold. You're up almost 900%, which is
I have tweets showing
crazy.
and talking like, oh, just got my. I remember this like it was yesterday because I remember Stacy, me and Stacy, and this is back when we're on Clubhouse and we're like, yo, Stimmy's came through, about to buy some Bitcoin, bought some Bitcoin, and this is exactly what happens when you just stack your Bitcoin and chill. I post this all the time when anybody talks crazy about Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, well, you know, you could put that $1,200 in your bank account. You probably spent it like you just said, or if you put it in your bank account and lost value over the last 4 years, you know, or you have a high yield savings account at 2% or 3%, even 4%. I'm like, oh, these banks be trying us. Um, or you could have just bought it in Bitcoin and chilled, and you're up almost 9x, like you said. So 1,200 to 11,000 by not doing any trading, by not doing anything, not looking at any charts, not worried about anything, just going on with your life. And you look back and you're like, oh wow, it's grown so much.
It
It's amazing.
it's almost too simple for people. They say it's
That's
too good.
yeah,
What's the scam? Why is this the best performing asset? And I think, so then they come up with all these theories about, well, the government must control 90%, but people don't know it. And then once the price goes up, so they're going to dump on everyone, right? Like all these theories
yeah,
because they have no education of how the network works.
yeah,
And you can see on chain what's happening with these coins. Um,
yeah,
so we would know if there was something nefarious going on behind the scenes like that. They will
yeah,
try to influence it by promoting their own CBDC sometime in the future, or saying how bad Bitcoin is, and you should buy XYZ thing instead. But when you have BlackRock come in, Larry Fink said, "This is my show now. We are going to put our stamp on Bitcoin and tell the rest of Wall Street that, hey, this thing is here.
green light.
Green light." I think that that opens the floodgates for other companies, institutions. I'm a co-founder of a nonprofit, and we do a lot of work for children across the country, and we hodl Bitcoin in our treasury. There's we if you have a small business, there's no harm in taking a little bit that you can survive with. You don't put your rent money in Bitcoin. You don't put your inventory money that you need to purchase merchandise with. You put money that you don't need for 4, 5, 10 years, and you hold it in Bitcoin. And in the future, you're able to do, for us as a nonprofit. So very brief backstory: started a nonprofit with a college teammate of mine, Zach Steffen. He's a goalie for the national team. In 2020, we started a nonprofit to help lower income minority kids. So we've done a lot of work with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, not only giving them dollars and money, but also giving them time and mentorship through ourselves and other professional athletes. So we'll go and spend time with these kids and tell them our story. And our goal is to get them the resources that we were lucky enough to have that help us become professional athletes, and have more kids, give more kids that opportunity. And we were able to through a private donation, we were able to buy Bitcoin in whatever it was, 2022 or 2023. And that gives us the ability to now think about think in the future, similar to what Peter McCormick's doing with his football club. They're buying Bitcoin, they're holding it into the future so they can build a stadium, they can upgrade their ground, they can sign better players. For us, that money has to be used for the nonprofit. So now we're thinking, okay, maybe we build a field for children to play soccer, or a basketball court in the future for people to play basketball and soccer. Do things that are much bigger than we would be able to do if we just got donations and
And put it
distributed
in
them,
fiat,
right?
because that fiat's going to go down over time. Absolutely.
So the beauty of Bitcoin, it doesn't matter what your industry is, what your job is, what your business is. Buying and holding Bitcoin allows you to do more good in the future. Or you can hold it and buy a bunch of dumb shit in the future if you want to do that too. But
Speaking of dumb shit,
okay.
speaking of that, let's bring up the infamous site, Bitcoin or shit. Have you seen the site?
I think I know what this is.
I don't know why. Google Coin. I have DuckDuckGo, but they don't be pulling up the sites, and I hate using Google. But if you bought Bitcoin instead of freaking stupid shit, how much would you have? Have you seen the site?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it does random stuff, right?
Yeah. If you bought Bitcoin instead of AirPods, you'd have $12,000. It's $159 to $12,000. This site it's so mind boggling. And this is another thing that I like to show
Crazy.
people. It's like, yo, you guys, because even myself, I used to talk about this all the time. It's like, yo, I used to buy. I got this Louis Vuitton. I like design. I like nice things. There's nothing wrong with liking nice things. I don't even
No,
wear this $800 Louis belt. That's just sitting. Connection loss.
you good? I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So I have this Louis Vuitton. Um, I don't know if my connection's acting crazy.
You gotta sell it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You still there? I don't know. I can't see anything. My
I
screen's all
can,
messed up.
yeah, I can see it. It looks fine on my end.
Okay. Cool. All right, so yeah, the Louis Vuitton, it's an $800 belt. It was back in like 2017. If I would have just bought Bitcoin instead, it's just like I'd be exponentially more wealthy, and I don't even wear it. I don't even wear it. It's so crazy, so crazy to me. So that's why I love this site, because it just shows you a lot of things that we need to we need to settle down and take advantage of the opportunity that we actually have to buy Bitcoin with fiat currency, because it's not going to be this way always. And in the future, you're going to have to work for Bitcoin. And then we always say, Bitcoin. Ew,
You good, or is your connection still off?
my connection's way off right now, but it's all good. I just didn't know if you could see me, because I don't even see us on my screen.
Yeah, I can see us. So what I would say is, I think so. I agree with you, and I think it's important for people who maybe just started a small allocation or are thinking about buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a long game. They're the people who were there from the beginning and bought early on and made millions. Good for those people. But for the majority of Bitcoin holders, these are people who are just now starting to understand it and who are just now starting to allocate. And of course, there are exceptions to every rule. But what I will say, in my everyday life, I like to talk about Bitcoin. I like to talk about business with people, and the the vast majority of people still either do not understand Bitcoin or don't believe that it's going to be as big as it is. If you say Bitcoin's going to $1 million, people will think you're crazy. And I think that's like the starting point where we really see
Bearish.
Bitcoin become Bitcoin become mainstream. I think we have such a long way to go. It's important, if you're new to Bitcoin, you are not late. If anything, we are still early. This thing is only 16 years old. So we are in the early innings. Just start buying Bitcoin, whatever the price is, just start and continue to stack and just learn. Um, you know, follow Chris, follow me, follow people in the Bitcoin space who are talking about what's going on, talking about their personal journey. And you'll learn that Bitcoin is not, the Bitcoin community is not only talking about Bitcoin, they are talking about not only improving their financial life, but their physical life with health, um, with education, what they do with their children, what they, food, what they put in their body, vacations, how you travel. Bitcoiners want to live a life better than what we've been experiencing. Everyone knows something is off. Why is it that the rich continue to get richer and everyone else is struggling? What's going on? People are unhappier than they've ever been. People are more unhealthy than they've ever been. Why is this? And I'm a believer that the money has a lot to do with it. Inflation is crippling people. No one can buy homes. No one could afford to eat healthy food because the incentives are completely fucked, right? They want you to go to school and take out 200,000 in debt, but then once you graduate, you don't have a job that can support paying that debt back, plus saving, plus buying a house, plus living. So you have to make really difficult choices in life. And once you find Bitcoin, no, you're not going to get rich overnight. No, it's not going to change your life in a month, in a year. This is a long game. But with Bitcoin, there is hope. And Michael Saylor says that, and I truly, truly believe it. If you spend time learning about Bitcoin and allocating to Bitcoin in 10 years, your life will be exponentially better. And I think that the more people that understand that, the better our society is going to be as a whole. Damn, Yeezys.
No.
2015. I mean, I was still in college, so I wouldn't even have been able to buy myself Yeezys for $400. But if you were there in 2015 and bought some Yeezys, you could have a six-figure portfolio instead. Those are the trade-offs in life, man.
Yep. So I agree, man, and shout out to you and all that you've done in the education, because it is a learning curve. I learn every day about Bitcoin. I listen to podcasts all the time about Bitcoin. It gets annoying to others that just and you seem like the black sheep, right, out of everybody. And I'm learning a lot about trust law and 501c3s as well, which is the nonprofits. And I'm learning about how the banks really operate on the private side, and what the principal is, and what the agent is, which is our all caps name and our lowercase and spelling name. So there's a lot of things that I'm learning, but it all started with Bitcoin because, like you said, it's a rabbit hole. It's the white rabbit in the matrix, right? We're in the matrix. You got to get out of the matrix. And one of the ways to escape is Bitcoin. And the only way that you're going to be able to, you know, understand is to put in the work. And that's what Bitcoin is all about. You got to put in the work, proof of work. You can't just half ass, and you can't make Bitcoin out of thin air. You got to put in the work.
Mhm.
I agree with you. Bitcoin is hope. Bitcoin is the path, not only for us, but our children in the future. It's the bright orange future that we're all looking forward to having, and it's really generational wealth. Bitcoin. I read the Bible. I believe in God. So in the Bible it says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So the Bitcoin is really not for me, right? It's not really for us. It's for our children's children. Because again, there's going to be a time where nobody's going to want to take these shitty dollars, these Federal Reserve notes. If you look at your dollar, it's not even a dollar. It's a promise to pay at a future date. It's a Federal Reserve note. It says it on the dollar. Federal Reserve notes. So we don't even notice and pay attention to a lot of the terminology. that we are saying and that we've been taught and that we've been indoctrinated into the financial system. They teach us how to be sheep and not to be free thinkers and not to be business owners. Income, when I don't make income gets taxed. I get revenue, I invest, I have a business. There's a lot of things that we got to change our vocabulary and our insight and our mind on. But I think the very first thing, and to have that foundation with Bitcoin. So congrats to you and all that you've done, and congrats to the family, and for your nonprofit organization. Anything I can do to help out with that, I'll love to teach, the kids about financial education if I can, or whatever services I can provide to them, so that way they can, get ahead of the curve, because credit is very important. Even though a lot of us weren't taught about credit, and our parents say credit is bad, use your credit card to pay a bill and then pay it off. That's not how you're supposed to use credit. That's not how wealthy people use credit. So we need to expand our knowledge on a lot of these things. And again, it starts with the foundation of having sound money. Fix the money, fix the world, and that starts with Bitcoin. So I appreciate you, man. It's been a little bit over an hour. But anytime you want to get on and chat about Bitcoin, I'm here, man. And I appreciate you, and let the people know where they can find you. And, it's been an excellent chat here talking
Thank
with
you,
you, man.
bro. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm on Twitter. You can, at Alex Crognale. I'm on there. Um, yeah, that's where I'm, and I put my thoughts on there. Um, it looks like it's
I'm
just
here. I'm
me.
just
I
giving you the
was,
spotlight. I'm here.
I was gonna do a close. No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. I'm gonna give you the spotlight. My bad. I didn't mean
no,
to.
it's all good. I don't have much else to say. I think, I appreciate you giving me the time. I think the party is just getting started with Bitcoin here, around 60K. So let's get through this election, and let's see what 2025 has in store. I think it's going to be exciting.
Excellent. Any last words for anyone? So if you had the orange pill one person, you're in an elevator real quick, and you have a 2-minute pitch on Bitcoin. What's your 2-minute elevator pitch for Bitcoin for someone that's just asking about, oh, what should I invest in? What would you say?
Yeah, well, I would talk about the money supply. It depends on the person, but what would make sense to me is I would talk about the money supply and how the money supply is growing at 6 to 8% a year. So unless your income is going up 6 to 8% a year, every year you're buying less things with your salary. And what that means is over time, by holding dollars, your life is going to become more expensive. But we have this thing called Bitcoin, and it's decentralized, it's finite, um, permissionless, all those great things about Bitcoin. If you hold Bitcoin, it is proven to go up 30 to 50% per year. And if you hold Bitcoin over long periods of times, your life gets cheaper. So take the dollars, buy the Bitcoin, and wait. And then
Stack your Bitcoin and shit.
that would likely be followed up by something like it can't go much higher, or it's too expensive, or whatever. And then there would be another 10-minute conversation. But keeping it simple, I think, is the way to go. So connect with me if you have any questions. Hit me up. I'm on Twitter.
Absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, man. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, chat with me. I trade a little bit. So I tell everybody, hey, don't trade, right? I say stack your Bitcoin and chill. If you do trade, take a little fiat, right? Take a little bit of fiat, $100, $200, whatever you can afford, and pretty much consider that gone. And then if you're gonna trade with that, trade with that. But have a separate bag for your Bitcoin and chill, and don't trade at all. And again, I always give people a little bit of Bitcoin, or I tell them, hey, you can get $10 free on Swan or whatever. But you're absolutely right, man. And like I said, it's just been a pleasure speaking with you. I love speaking with everybody that's a Bitcoiner and just getting their POV and how they're looking at Bitcoin and their journey. So I look forward to seeing you on Twitter, and I look forward to seeing your tweets, and I look forward to building with you and helping you out with your endeavors. And let's definitely link one day. I don't know where you're at. I'm in Florida. Where you at?
I'm in Alabama. I hope you're safe
Oh,
down
you ain't far. Yeah, I'm
there.
in Orlando. We're good. We're good. Thank
All
God.
right, good,
There's so many prayers that went out. I believe the prayers definitely had
good.
some uh some effect. But it's enough of the prayers. We need to go help some people out with some money or some sweat
Yeah.
equity.
So
Enough prayers.
one thing you could do is share my tweet that I put out. My co-founder Zach and I we're donating $20,000 through our foundation to to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America who have been affected by the hurricanes. There's 100 clubs in the disaster zone, and they serve over 58,000 kids there. And 100% of the donation will go to helping rebuild the clubs. And then the clubs that weren't damaged, they're serving as shelter, they're serving food there, they're helping with mental health support for these kids. So a lot of people's lives have been completely changed by this hurricane, and many are not lucky enough to have the resources to get out or to get what they need right now. So if you can give $10 or $100, it doesn't matter. It all helps. But yeah, I have that tweet on my profile, and if you can't give and you can just share it, that also means a lot. So thank you.
I got you for sure. Happy Friday. God bless, man. Thank you so much for coming on, and we'll chat soon. And stack your Bitcoin and chill, guys. Don't wait to buy Bitcoin. Buy your Bitcoin and then wait. Okay?
Yes, sir. We'll do it
Bitcoin
again
tatted.
next.
I got no fear.
Oh, let's
Bitcoin
go.
grenade. Bitcoin flag. We here for the long run, man. So with that being said, Bitcoin Chris checking out. Thank you so much, Ash, for coming on. Much love, bro.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. That was Alex. And we will chat and talk a little bit more in the future. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on X, hit that like button, please. Go to his page, follow him on Twitter, please. Um, you know, DCA, like we just said. Learn. You got to read. A lot of us don't read. We need to make sure that we read and that we are reading. We don't read our contracts. We don't read a lot of things that we sign. So a lot of things that I've been telling you guys about, I'm not telling and tweeting these things for no reason, guys, because I could just sit at home and don't say a word and I'll be A-okay. But that's not the person I am. I want to help you guys out. I want to make sure I'm doing my part and bless you guys with information, but I can only lead the horse to the water, can't make it drink. And if you're gonna shitcoin, be careful because the chances of you getting rug pulled is very high. So if you want to save yourself the heartache, if you want to save yourself the disappointment of buying a shitcoin and getting rugged, just buy Bitcoin and chill. I know you want to get rich fast. I know you want to get rich fast. I know you want to get rich fast. But anything that comes fast, you'll lose it just as fast. But if you build a foundation, if you stack your Bitcoin and chill, you make that money, you earn your money, you earn a good living, you're going to be A-okay in the long run. Time is flying by anyway. Time is going to go by anyway. So stack your Bitcoin and chill. So with that being said, head over to bitcoindadfiatdad.com. Pre-order my new book. All the links will be down in the description. So make sure you guys pre-order the new book coming. Make sure you guys donate to the charity or the 501c3, the nonprofit organization by Alex. Make sure you guys go to swanbitcoin.com/Bitcoin Chris. Get your $10 free Bitcoin. Go to Cash App, DCL on Cash App. If you don't want to use Swan, there's River, there's PayPal, anywhere but Coinbase. So like I keep telling you guys, anywhere, please get off Coinbase because I don't want to hear y'all crying about Coinbase when it shuts down on you again, right? And just live life and live life abundantly. Change your mind, change your thoughts, change your world. Stack your Bitcoin and chill and enjoy this Friday and this weekend and get ready for that bright, orange, beautiful future that we're all looking forward to. But only if you stack Bitcoin. Because if you own fiat or these shitcoins, it's not gonna be a pretty life for you. And whether you wanna accept it or not, the truth is the truth. And Bitcoin is the truth. So with that being said, Bitcoin Chris checking out. Much love you guys. Peace. Or peace. I think it's this way is the right way to do it. Peace, guys.
Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah. Riding with country bass. Yeah, I'm stacking them, yeah. Riding with country bass.